Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack a stack of information, sift through the research, and pull out the absolute must-know nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're diving into one of humanity's oldest quests. What truly makes us happy? It's a pursuit so many of us are on, yet the answers, well, it turns out they're far more nuanced and fascinating than just chasing good feelings.
That's precisely what we're here to explore.
Yeah.
We've synthesized insights from a comprehensive article from Nova Psychology, which delves deep into the science of happiness.
Right.
Our mission today is really to go beyond the surface and uncover the psychological factors that genuinely contribute to our well-being, all supported by robust research.
So if you've ever pondered how to cultivate more lasting joy, or maybe a deeper sense of purpose in your daily life, this deep dive is definitely for you. We're stepping beyond just fleeting smiles to understand the profound, evidence-based roadmap to sustained fulfillment. Okay, let's unpack this then. We often use the word happiness pretty casually, right?
Yeah, we do.
But scientifically, it sounds like it's actually much more precise. So when psychologists talk about well-being, what distinct forms of happiness are they actually referring to?
That's a great starting point. What's fascinating here is that the scientific community differentiates between two core types. There's hedonic well-being, which is about immediate positive emotions, and the absence of negative ones. Think pleasure, comfort, simple enjoyment. It's that feeling good in the moment kind of sensation.
Right, the immediate buzz.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then there's eudaimonic well-being, which goes much deeper. This encompasses a sense of meaning, purpose, personal growth, and living in alignment with your values. It's essentially about realizing your full potential.
So it's not just about that temporary high then, it's something that feels more foundational maybe, a deeper resonance.
Exactly, yeah. Modern research suggests that true, lasting happiness isn't just one or the other. It's really a rich blend of both.
Okay.
You need those moments of pleasure, sure, but they're amplified and sustained by having that sense of meaning and fulfillment in life.
That makes perfect sense. Now, this brings up a really important question. How much of this is actually within our control? Because you often hear about genetic predispositions, almost like we're born with a certain happiness setting.
Right, you're touching on a really crucial point there. Studies, particularly those involving twins and adoptees, they suggest that about 50%, half, of the variation in happiness levels between individuals can indeed be attributed to genetic factors.
Wow, 50%.
Yeah, and this led to the concept of a happiness set point, a sort of baseline emotional equilibrium that we tend to return to.
That might sound a bit discouraging at first, like we're hardwired for a certain level of joy, and maybe that's just it.
It could sound that way. But here's where it gets really interesting. The other 50%, it's profoundly influenced by our circumstances, yes, but maybe even more powerfully by our deliberate thoughts and behaviors.
Ah, okay.
So think of that set point not as a fixed ceiling, but maybe more like a thermostat.
A thermostat. I like that.
Yeah. While genetics might set the initial temperature, our actions and choices can absolutely adjust the dial up or down. And that makes the science of happiness incredibly empowering, really.
That's a powerful distinction. Not a ceiling, but a dial we can influence. Love that. So if half of our happiness is truly in our hands, what are the key psychological factors? The ones that research consistently points to as the most impactful?
Okay. Well, the evidence on this is quite robust, actually, and we can distill it down into several crucial, actionable areas. First up, and maybe one of the most consistent and arguably profound findings across decades of research, is the undeniable importance of our social connections. Humans are inherently social creatures, it's just how we're built. And the quality of our relationships is absolutely foundational to our well-being.
That feels intuitive, sure, but when we talk about quality in relationships, what does the research specifically point to? Like, what does a truly quality connection actually look like for our happiness?
Right. It's absolutely about quality over mere quantity. Studies consistently show that people with strong, supportive relationships, characterized by trust, mutual respect, shared vulnerability, they're not only happier, but also healthier, and even tend to live longer.
Really? Live longer, too?
Yeah. These connections provide essential emotional support, a deep sense of belonging, and just countless opportunities for shared joy.
I remember hearing about a landmark study that really hammered this home. Was it that Harvard one?
You're exactly right. Yeah. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the Harvard study of adult development. It famously spanned 75 years, tracked hundreds of lives,
25 years.
And it concluded that the quality of our relationships is the single most important predictor of our happiness and health as we age. Imagine that. Across an entire lifetime, that's the standout factor.
Wow, the single most important predictor. That's incredible. Just incredible. It makes you wonder why we don't prioritize it more, you know?
Indeed. And it's not just about receiving support either. The research indicates that actively giving support, like through acts of kindness, generosity, that also significantly boost happiness levels in the giver.
Oh, interesting. So it goes both ways.
Absolutely. It's a reciprocal dynamic. It helps us cope with stress, demonstrably reducing stress hormones, improving cardiovascular health, enhancing immune function. It really is a win-win for well-being.
Okay, so strong relationships are foundational. Got it. But once we have that base, what about like that internal compass that guides us? Does having a sense of direction or significance in life play an equally vital role?
Yes, absolutely. This is a core component of that eudaimonic well-being we talked about earlier.
Right.
Psychologist Martin Seligman, one of the founders of positive psychology, he argues that meaning isn't just something you find. It's often created through two main avenues.
Okay.
Belonging to and serving something bigger than yourself.
Right.
And using one's unique strengths to contribute to others.
So it's about actively contributing then, not just passively consuming or existing. Why is that distinction so powerful for our happiness?
Precisely, yeah. It's about moving from maybe a purely self-focused existence to one that impacts things beyond yourself. People who feel their lives have meaning are consistently happier. They're more resilient when setbacks happen.
Makes sense.
And they tend to engage in healthier behaviors too. Plus, setting and working towards meaningful goals, that also contributes significantly. Goals provide direction, a tangible sense of progress, and crucial opportunities for personal growth.
Does the type of goal matter, though? I mean, are some goals inherently better for happiness than others?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And the research indicates yes. Intrinsic goals, so things rooted in personal growth, deep relationships, contributing to your community.
Okay.
Those tend to be far more satisfying and lead to more lasting happiness than extrinsic goals like wealth, fame, image, the external stuff. The intrinsic goals nourish your inner self, whereas the extrinsic ones often leave you kind of chasing the next external validation, which can be exhausting.
Okay. Now, in our incredibly busy, often, let's face it, digitally distracted world, how does being present and aware fit into this whole happiness equation? It seems almost countercultural sometimes.
It does, but it's absolutely key. Mindfulness. It involves intentionally paying attention to the present moment, but crucially, without judgment.
Without judgment.
It's not about emptying your mind. That's a misconception. It's more like training it like a muscle to stay focused. And regular practice can profoundly reduce anxiety and depression, dramatically improve emotional regulation, and just enhance overall well-being.
So, if our minds are constantly wandering off somewhere else, are we actually less likely to be happy?
That's exactly what psychologists Matthew Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert found in their research.
Yeah.
They discovered people are happier when they're fully engaged in the present moment.
Even doing boring stuff.
Even during seemingly mundane tasks. Compared to when their minds are wandering, regardless of what those wandering thoughts are about, it seems to be the very act of being mentally elsewhere that diminishes joy.
Fascinating. And what about gratitude? We hear so much about gratitude journals and things like that as a path to happiness. How does that actually work?
Well, cultivating gratitude is a powerful form of present moment awareness, and it's strongly linked to increased happiness. It's not just about, saying thank you politely.
Yeah.
Practices like keeping a gratitude journal or simply taking a moment to identify what you're genuinely grateful for each day. They can literally shift your cognitive patterns.
How so?
It trains your brain to actively seek out and amplify positivity. It's been shown to increase positive emotions, improve sleep quality, enhance empathy, even reduce aggression, and boost self-esteem. It's quite powerful.
Okay, moving on. What role does continuous learning and, importantly, how we view ourselves play in all this? Because it feels like an endless journey of self-improvement could also be, well, kind of stressful.
That's a fair point. And this factor beautifully combines that pursuit of growth with a really healthy dose of self-acceptance.
Ah, the balance.
Exactly. Psychologist Carol Dweck's pioneering research on mindset. She showed that those with a growth mindset, the belief that abilities and intelligence can be developed through dedication and hard work, they tend to be happier and more successful. This fosters resilience, a genuine love of learning, and a greater sense of control over one's life.
So just believing you can improve actually makes you happier. That's quite compelling.
It is. And equally important is self-compassion.
Self-compassion, okay.
Yeah. Psychologist Kristen Neff's research highlights that treating oneself with kindness and understanding, especially, when you face perceived failure or inadequacy, is strongly linked to psychological well-being.
So it's not self-pity.
Not at all. It's about acknowledging your humanity, reducing that harsh inner critic, and significantly enhancing emotional resilience. It actually allows you to grow without being paralyzed by the fear of imperfection.
Right, right. Now, I've heard the term flow state mentioned in different contexts. How does that intense absorption contribute to our overall happiness? I've definitely had moments like that where you just lose track of all time.
Yeah, that feeling you're describing is precisely flow. It's a concept introduced by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Okay.
It's a state of complete absorption in an activity where you become so immersed that you, like you said, lose track of time, self-consciousness, distractions. It all just fades away. It's a profound sense of energized focus.
It sounds incredible. So how do we actually get there? How do we find those activities that unlock that kind of total engagement?
Well, activities that induce flow are typically those that challenge us at a level that matches our skills. They're not too easy, which would be boring, but not too hard, which causes anxiety.
The sweet spot.
Exactly. They also tend to provide clear goals and immediate feedback, so you can constantly adjust and feel that sense of progress. And crucially, they're intrinsically rewarding, meaning you do them for the sheer joy of the activity itself, not for some external reward.
Right.
These experiences offer a profound sense of mastery, a natural escape from negative thoughts, and they genuinely encourage skill development.
So it's really about intentionally seeking out those in-the-zone moments, making time for them.
Precisely, yeah. And beyond specific flow activities, just cultivating general engagement in daily life is also crucial. Being present in your interactions, finding meaning in your work, enthusiastically pursuing enjoyable hobbies. It's about bringing that quality of absorbed attention to more aspects of your day.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, it feels intuitive that physical health would be connected to mental well-being, obviously. But what does the science say specifically about this powerful mind-body connection?
Well, while much of happiness research rightly focuses on psychological factors, we absolutely cannot ignore the profound impact of our physical state. It's huge. Regular exercise, for instance, is an incredibly powerful tool. It's almost like a natural antidepressant.
Yeah.
It demonstrably reduces symptoms of depression and anxiety, significantly improves mood, boosts self-esteem, and even enhances cognitive function.
How much exercise are we really talking about here, though? Does it have to be like a full-blown marathon every day for it to count?
That's the fascinating part. A study by the University of Michigan found that as little as 10 minutes of physical activity per week was associated with increased happiness.
Wait, seriously, just 10 minutes a week?
10 minutes a week, that's incredibly accessible, right? It doesn't have to be an hour sweating at the gym. It could be a brisk walk, dancing to a few songs in your living room.
Okay, so my no time excuse is officially out the window. What else on the physical side makes a significant difference?
Quality sleep. That's another critical factor that's often underestimated.
Sleep, right.
Poor sleep is directly linked to an increased risk of depression and anxiety. It impairs emotional regulation, meaning you're less able to manage your feelings effectively, and it decreases overall life satisfaction. So, prioritizing good sleep hygiene, that can significantly contribute to your overall well-being. It really recharges both your body and your mind.
Wow. This has been such a comprehensive deep dive into the science behind happiness.
Right.
Really fascinating stuff. So putting it all together, what does this mean for someone listening right now who wants to apply these insights in their everyday life? What are the actionable, evidence-based steps we can actually take?
Right. Understanding these factors is the essential first step, absolutely. But the real challenge, and honestly the real reward, lies in integrating them into your life. So based on all the research we've discussed, here are some concrete strategies you can begin cultivating, maybe starting today. First, nurture relationships. Actively make time for friends and family. Practice active listening. Express sincere gratitude. Remember that quality connection is paramount.
Okay, relationships first. Makes sense.
Second, find your purpose. Reflect on what truly gives your life meaning beyond just the daily tasks. Set and work towards goals that really resonate with your core values.
Find that why. Got it.
Third, practice mindfulness. Incorporate simple techniques like mindful breathing, or just take moments to truly observe your surroundings without judging. Train your mind to stay present.
Be here now. Okay.
Fourth, cultivate gratitude. Keep that journal if it works for you, or simply take maybe 3 minutes each day to genuinely identify things you're grateful for. Remember, this literally rewires your brain towards positivity.
Train the brain for gratitude. Good one.
Fifth, embrace growth. Challenge yourself to learn new skills, even small ones. View obstacles not as roadblocks, but as genuine opportunities for learning and development.
Growth mindset, yes.
Sixth, engage in flow activities. Identify those things where you completely lose yourself. Hobby, a craft, maybe even a focused task at work, and intentionally make time for them regularly.
Find your flow. Love it.
Seventh, take care of your physical health. Prioritize consistent exercise, healthy eating habits, and crucially, good sleep. And remember, even small amounts of activity can make a difference.
10 minutes. You can't forget that.
Eighth, practice self-compassion. Treat yourself with the same kindness and understanding you to offer a good friend, especially during tough times or setbacks. It builds resilience.
Be kind to yourself. Important.
Ninth, contribute to others. Look for ways to help people or your community. Volunteering, mentorship, simple random acts of kindness. Giving back consistently boosts the giver's happiness too.
Give back. Yeah.
And finally, 10th, savor positive experiences. Don't just rush through the good moments. Take time to fully enjoy and appreciate them, no matter how small or mundane they might seem. Really relish them. So as we've explored, happiness is such a complex and wonderfully multifaceted concept. It's clear it's not just about pleasure or passively avoiding negative emotions.
Yeah.
It profoundly involves meaning, deep engagement, positive relationships, and a real commitment to ongoing personal growth.
The science of happiness has truly given us some invaluable, actionable insights today. But what's powerfully clear, I think, is that happiness isn't some fixed destination you just arrive at one day.
Exactly.
It's an ongoing, dynamic journey. It requires consistent effort, honest self-reflection, and sometimes, a courageous willingness to challenge our own assumptions about what will genuinely bring us joy.
And it's so crucial to remember that experiencing the full range of human emotions, including sadness, anger, fear, that's a normal, healthy, and actually a vital part of life.
Right, it's not about never feeling bad.
Not at all. The goal isn't to be perpetually happy or to try and suppress challenging feelings. It's more about cultivating a general sense of well-being and a profound satisfaction with life, even when you're navigating difficulties.
This deep dive hopefully empowers you listening to make truly informed choices about where to invest your precious time and energy for the greatest impact on your well-being. So as you reflect on your own path to happiness and fulfillment, maybe consider this. What small, consistent action could you commit to taking this week, based on the science we've discussed today, to move just a little closer to living your most fulfilling and meaningful life? Remember, every single step, no matter how small it feels, really counts.